The fact that this man thinks so much of himself that he named himself the Siberian tiger will never not be funny to me. I mean, seriously, has anyone ever asked him why? Why the Siberian tiger? It doesn't represent you. It doesn't represent your channel. And they're not native to Ukraine. Like, wouldn't maybe the marbled polecat or the Eurasian pygmy shrew been better choices for this tiny little man? I feel like they would have. Welcome back to my corner of the internet, guys. I am the Lucid Dream, and we are going to be taking a look at the Siberian mosquito getting arrested. We're not going to watch the full video on that one just because it is a whole lot of him standing around and doing nothing until he makes one very, very, very stupid decision. But, bonus, we have the court footage of him fighting a traffic ticket because, of course, why would he take accountability for himself? I mean, that's too much to expect. First and foremost, though, as always, thank you to all of my channel members and subscribers. If you are new here, please consider hitting that subscribe button. I would really appreciate it. But now let's go ahead and get into it.
Hey, you guys stay back there.
Hey, did you
You
hear
gotta
him?
stay back there.
Go back over there under the sidewalk.
You're interfering.
Yo, guy.
You're going to be arrested for interfering if you don't do what you're
Please
told.
go back.
First of all, you need to let me go. What are you doing? You're assaulting me right now.
Stand here, don't
Name
come back
and
over there,
badge
you're gonna be
number.
under arrest.
You do not assault me.
You're under arrest.
For what?
You're under arrest.
For what? For what?
Hey, relax. Stop resisting.
I'm not resisting.
Relax.
What am I arrested for?
I told you you're under arrest. I don't know why. I'm just here.
Well, exactly. I don't know.
The stupidest thing about this entire arrest is for 20 minutes prior to this, it absolutely did not matter that he was there. They knew he was recording. They knew he was there. He was on the other side of the sidewalk where he could see everything. There was no reason for him to cross the street, not just cross the street, but cross the street in the middle of those officers, especially when they told him that he needed to stay back. If you're going to cop watch, if you want to record police for accountability, that's perfectly fine. But when you interfere is when it becomes a problem. And he very blatantly walked in the middle of that traffic stop. But of course, he's not going to take accountability for that. Why would he? It drove him crazy that they weren't paying attention to him, so he went immediately to get a reaction. That's all that this was.
All right, so Miss Wong will have a default for her failure to appear, and it'll be $65 for no metered receipt. Okay, we can now go back to the trials. I believe the first one was Mr. Leonid Krivolenko. Hi, Leonid, can you hear me okay?
I sure can. Good morning, Judge.
Can you raise your right hand so I can get you under oath? You and the officer need to be under oath. Okay. You both solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth under the penalties of perjury.
I do, Your Honor.
I affirm.
Okay. And say your last name for me, sir.
Krivolenko.
Thank you. So how these trials work, Mr. Krivolenko, is I first hear from the officer. She needs to establish that she validly issued you and accurately issued you that ticket. And then I'll let you ask her any questions you have and tell me your side of the story, sir. Okay, do you have any questions?
Not yet.
All right, go ahead, Officer Cochran.
This is actually Officer Parley, Your Honor. So good morning. My name is Officer Parley. I am employed by the City of Portland as a parking code enforcement officer and was so employed on May 20th, 2024. While on routine foot patrol at approximately 9:03 a.m., I observed a Toyota with the Washington license plate Bravo Echo Victor Bravo 61 in a mail zone. on the west side of Southwest First Street between Main and Madison, which is on public property in the city of Portland, county of Multnomah, state of Oregon. At this time, I issued citation Hotel Alpha 37276768 for mail zone under City Ordinance 16.10.050. I also do have 4 pictures which accompany this citation.
All right, would you like to show those pictures now?
Whenever you like, Your Honor.
Yeah, that's fine. Let's go ahead and do that now.
Okay. My computer is extremely slow, so I apologize, but I'm getting into the pictures right now.
Mr. Krivolenkov, have you seen these photos that the officer took?
No, I have not.
All right, you're going to see them now in just a moment.
Okay, so, all right. Here's the first photo. Let me know if you can see it.
I can see it now. What is
Your
this?
Honor, this is a photo of the defendant's.
Oh, it disappeared.
Yeah.
Sorry. I apologize. Let me, oh, my computer is not working. Okay, can you see it now?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
So this is a photograph of the defendant's windshield showing there's no kind of placard or permit stating that they can park in the mail zone.
All right, we can see the next photo. All right, this is photo 2. And what is this, officer?
This is a photo of the actual sign. You will see in a later picture how it is positioned in relation to the vehicle.
Okay, we can see the next photo. This
That
is
is a picture verifying the license plate that the citation was given to.
all right, the next photo. Okay.
And there is a photograph of the actual vehicle showing there is no signage on the vehicle stating that it is a parking, excuse me, that it is a postal vehicle.
Okay.
And there is one showing the relationship of the vehicle to the sign. So that it was parked in full view of the sign when it chose to park there.
All right, and do you have any objection, Mr. Krivolenko, to me looking at those and considering them in my decision, sir?
So real quick, you saw that it says no parking unless you're a USPS vehicle. In his description box for this video, he says, as an independent contractor, I did some work delivering bank mail to and from the U.S. Postal Service stations in Portland, Oregon. All of the contractors, like myself, had an implied permission to use the designated space for the purposes of our business. I have been doing so for multiple years, and one day, there you are, a parking citation. So he is claiming that he has implied consent to park in a no parking zone because he is an independent contractor. I don't think this is going to go very well for him.
Well, there's no material objections to the pictures. The pictures are fine. I'm not objecting to the pictures.
All right, then I'm going to go ahead and admit all of those pictures into evidence. Did you have anything else, officer, before I hear from the defendant?
No, Your Honor.
All right, you may go ahead, sir. Did you want to ask her questions or just tell me your side of the story?
Of course. Officer Parley, what building was my vehicle allegedly parked next to? You said mail zone. Which building?
It's parked in front of a mail zone sign, sir. I'm not sure of the name of the building that it was parked in front of, but I know the post office runs a part of their business out of it. I do not know the name of the building.
Okay. So the post office, are you referring to the U.S. Post Office Service?
That is what the sign says, sir, that it's you cannot park there unless you are a U.S. postal vehicle. It's a U.S. mail zone.
That's not what I asked. I'm asking you
I'm sorry,
specifically.
sir.
That is not what I asked. So
Okay,
listen,
please do ask the question again. I didn't understand it.
I'm going to specifically asking you.
What is the
The
question, sir?
The pictures you've admitted as evidence
Yes.
Was my vehicle allegedly parked next to a U.S. Postal Service building?
Sir, no, it says it's a park next to a sign that says you must be a U.S. postal vehicle to park there. It has nothing to do
Again,
with the
ma'am, I'm
building.
going to interrupt you again. Listen very carefully what I asked.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Which U.S. postal sign does that building belong to?
I don't know, sir.
Okay, so
I
if you
just
don't
follow the
know,
signs.
so let me ask you this question. Before you issued that citation, should you have verified whether or not you had the authority to even issue a parking citation for that zone?
No, sir, because I have authority to deal with any of the parking signs within the city of Portland. I am a sworn parking enforcement officer. I follow what the signage says. So,
Maybe so.
to my knowledge, I was sworn in to uphold those signs.
So that building, as a matter of fact, on the lower level and that section belongs to U.S. Postal Service, which is federal property, which makes you a person with no jurisdiction or authority as an employee of the city of the Portland, Oregon, to issue any citations in that zone or operate as an officer in that zone, period. That's your first issue that we need to raise. Issue of jurisdiction.
I'm leaving this all up to the judge, sir. I have no say in the matter.
Well, you say no, you're the issuing officer. You have no say in the offer.
I have no say.
So I'm going to interrupt you there, Mr. Krivolenko. So as I explained in the beginning, how these trials work is you first ask questions of the officer. It sounds like you're done asking questions and you're ready
No,
to your side.
that's not what I said. I'm not done. I never said that I'm done asking questions. I'm continuing to ask questions and raise my own
questions. I hear statements, sir. So if you're going to ask a question, it needs to be a question, not a statement.
Sure, because my questions are not being answered. They're being avoided. So again, Officer
just tell your side of the story, Mr. Krivolenko.
No, Judge, I apologize for interrupting you, but you are not going to deny my due process. When I'm finished with my
process to ask questions is happening right now.
Don't interrupt me and don't state on my behalf.
I will interrupt you, sir, if you don't ask questions and make statements. So I know, let me ask you this, Mr. Krivolenko. Let's take a break here. Are you a lawyer? Are you a lawyer?
Pro se, ma'am. I'm representing myself.
To practice law, sir.
I'm pro se.
Pro se. Okay, so you don't have a law degree.
Do I need to be?
No, sir.
Do I need to have a lawyer's degree to be a pro se, ma'am?
No, sir. But I just want to make sure, because I'm going to give you a little more leniency with the rules if you don't have a law degree. So I'm going to allow you to make statements and ask questions at the same time if you're not a lawyer. If you are a lawyer, then I do need to keep you strictly following the protocol of first asking questions and then making statements. That's how it works.
Well, my question hasn't been answered. So let me reinstate my question and probably ask it in a little bit different way.
Sure.
Officer Parley.
Yes, sir. I'm listening.
Is there a U.S. Postal Service on the first level of that entire building on that street?
I don't know, sir. I assume so. I've never been in the building. I am just following the sign.
Have you ever prior to that date walked by that building and see that there is postal vehicles in that area?
There's postal vehicles in that zone. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. And that sign specifically indicates that this is a mail zone, correct?
Yes, sir.
And then presumption of that would be that it is a postal office or postal station, and that postal station is belonging to and is under the control of U.S. Postal Service.
I'm sorry, I had to sneeze. Yes, yes, sir. I agree with all of that. That is a statement that you're making, and I'm not.
So then, no, that's not a statement. I was asking you a question.
What's the question? I'm not sure what the question is, other than for me.
I heard her say she agrees with you, sir. You can move to the next question.
Great. So that establishes this fact, and you agree that that area is under the control of the federal government, specifically the agency of U.S. Postal Service. You agree?
No, sir, I don't agree. I don't know. I only follow the signs. I am not a judge. Please stop
Okay.
asking me questions I cannot answer.
If you're telling me you're following the signs, which you clearly right now, I'm assuming you do not understand, correct?
Sir, I understand your questions. What I'm saying is it's not my jurisdiction to parse out what is what.
Thank
I'll
you.
follow what the
Thank you for
sign
the answer.
says.
We have clearly established and you agree it is not your jurisdiction, correct?
No, I did not agree with that, sir. I don't know. I follow the signs. I feel
She's
like
already
you are.
answered the question, Mr.
Yeah.
Krivolenko. She does not know. Next question.
Okay. So next question is, you issued this citation under the city code 16.10.050, correct?
Yes, sir, I did.
Have you read that code before issuing the citation?
Sir, it comes up automatically when I issue the citation.
That is not what I asked. I asked, have you read the code of that?
Yes,
That
sir,
particular
previously,
code.
but I could not quote it for you.
Okay. Let me rephrase my question, because I don't think you understood it again, and you're again dodging that question.
I'm not
Prior to
dodging it,
issuing the
sir.
citation, listen carefully to my question
Yes,
and don't
sir.
interrupt me. Listen carefully before I finish the question, then you answer it. Prior to issuing that citation, on the date of the issue of the citation, 05/20/24, have you read the city code 16.10?
Okay, I'm going to interrupt you. She's
050.
already answered that question and you're not allowed to repeat questions. She already answered that she read it, but she could not quote it to you. Next question.
Okay, so let's look at that citation and let's look at the code 16.10.050. It reads, it is unlawful for a pedestrian or the operator of any vehicle to disobey the instruction of a traffic control device placed in accordance with the provisions of this title, unless otherwise directed by the authorized officer. That first paragraph. Do you agree with that?
Sir, I'm not.
I'm going to read it, Officer Parley. So it
Thank
says
you,
it
Your
is
Honor.
unlawful for a pedestrian or the operator of any vehicle to disobey the instructions of a traffic control device placed in accordance with the provisions of this title unless otherwise directed by an authorized officer. That's the first sentence in that code.
I do agree with that, Your Honor.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
Now, Miss Officer Parley, can you find me any language in that paragraph, in that first sentence, that gives you the authority or has any language that refers to parking violations?
No, I cannot, sir, but I also will say that the city of Portland, county of Multnomah, and state of Oregon, that is in a zone that I police. So because of that, I feel I do have the authority.
Are you testifying? Because you sound like
No,
you're testifying instead
sir,
of
you
giving
keep asking me questions that I feel like I've answered already. And I feel like you're parsing out, splitting hairs to the 11th degree. I'm not sure where you're going with this. It is a male
splitting
zone.
hairs. What
All
do
right,
you mean
so
by
Officer
splitting hairs?
Parley, anytime that he asks a question that you feel has already been answered, you can say asked and answered.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Right. So what do you mean by splitting hairs?
I mean,
That's irrelevant. Next question.
Yes, next question.
Judge, are you testifying for the officer?
I'm not testifying. I'm making
Are you the
rulings and
plaintiff?
objections.
Are you the
Next
plaintiff?
question.
She didn't raise the objection. You don't raise the objection, Judge. What do you think you're doing? You're going to violate my constitutional rights.
Hi there, Mr. Krivolenko. Actually, I can raise objections and I just did. So do you have another question or would you like to move to your side of the story, sir?
Why don't you just stop testifying for the officer? And why don't the officer just keep answering questions instead of giving her statements as testimony? So again, I didn't get
the law, and we're going to follow the procedures in this courtroom.
Great.
You can either accept them or you can hang up and stop your trial, but we're not going to allow you to control this trial. I'm the one in control here. I'm the one that tells you how it goes, not you. So
You're not
You have violated the
Respectfully, Judge,
procedures.
respectfully, Judge, you're
I
not the
have
one who
ruled
violated the
already, and you need to
constitutional
move
right
on.
to due process. All right. Are we moving on? So let's read second paragraph. It is unlawful for any person to refuse to fail to comply with any lawful order, signal, or the direction of any officer displaying the badge with the legal authority to direct, control, regulate traffic. Officer Parley, do you read anything in that code relating to parking?
I enforce it as I'm told to do. That's all I
Officer
can answer.
Parley,
Asked and
this is
answered.
Officer Parley, this is a yes or no question. Do
She
you read?
answered the question, sir.
She did not answer my question. This is a yes or no
I
question.
think what would work
Did
best
you
here,
read
Mr.
anything?
Krivolenko, I believe that you're abusing and battering the witness. And so we're
She's
going to
not a
move
witness.
on.
She's my
You
accuser.
can now tell me your side of the story and what your
Yes.
argument is.
She is not a witness. She's my accuser. She's the officer. And badgering my accuser does not fall under the category of a witness. She's not a
All right, Mr.
witness.
Krivolenko, would it be okay for you to pause and take a breath? Maybe gather yourself. Maybe we could do the other trial and come back to you.
No,
It's
maybe
you're really
maybe you should
upset.
just start violating my.
How can
Maybe you
people
should just
make good
stop violating
decisions
my
when
rights.
they're upset? So we're
No.
gonna wait until you can actually listen to me without interrupting me while I'm talking. And then I'm
All
gonna
right.
repeat everything I just said to make
You want to
sure.
pause and come back? You want to pause and come back? Do you want to pause and come back, Judge? Or do you want to just dismiss this case because clearly this violation, alleged violation, the statute, the code under which it was written has nothing to do with parking. And this Officer Parley has no authority to even issue any citations on federal property. And you're sitting here badgering me. You're sitting here accusing me. You're sitting there on your presiding bench and violating my rights and violating my due process. And in fact, right now you're helping the city and helping the Officer Parley, placing her in the position of a defendant. Are you kidding me? She's my accuser. She's the officer. So I think, Judge, you better
I'm done, Mr. Krivolenko, and I'll have my say.
let me put it to you really clearly, Judge. Judicial misconduct carries consequences, and there are remedies. There are remedies to remedy judicial misconduct. So please, please don't think that I'm one of those defendants that is going to sit and take this nonsense from you. Understand? So if you want to pause, that's up to you. Right now, I'm moving you, the court, to immediately dismiss this case on the issues and grounds and defenses that I have just raised. This code has nothing to do with parking, and Ms. Parley has no authority to issue parking citations on federal property. Period. I move to dismiss this case.
All right, Mr. Krivolenko, did you have any other arguments or defenses before I rule?
I'm done.
Excellent. Your motion is denied. I find that the officer validly issued the ticket and the fine is $55. Your
Great.
trial is done and you're free to disconnect.
I will move for appeal.
Good. I think you should.
Somehow I doubt that appeal is going to go very well for him. This guy is one of the most entitled and delusional idiots around. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Please like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you would like to see, and I will catch you on the next one.